Good morning, children. Today we are going to continue with our lesson chemical equations. Okay, in this first we will start with one process which says the process in which the surface of cut fruits and vegetables turns brown is called browning. This we will see in our day-to-day life. When we cut and keep the apple for say a half an hour, it will turn brown on the surface. The surface of the fruits will turn brown. So this is an example of a chemical change, and that process is called browning. Okay, how can we prevent this browning process? We can put the vegetables and fruits in water. Okay, when mother is cutting brinjal, she will be doing like this, because the moment you cut the brinjal and place it in the open air, it will turn brown. So in order to retain that original texture and the color, immediately we cut certain vegetables, not all vegetables, certain vegetables we will cut and immediately we will put them in the water. Okay, the water prevents the air from coming in contact, because that air only is making that brown color, or that because of air only the color changes to brown. So coming in contact with the vegetables and fruits, thus preventing the browning process. Okay, then coming to the chemical equation. This is a very important topic. You should be learning. This is like the alphabet for our chemistry. Okay, because in your higher standards we will be all talking in terms of equations only. So you should be knowing how to form the equation, how to balance the equation. That first step is being taught in the 7th standard. Okay, in earlier class we saw, or in the earlier lesson we saw how to form the formula, chemical formula for a given substance. Say copper sulfate or sodium chloride, we came with the element symbol, then we formed the formula. With those formulas, now we are going to form the chemical equation. Okay, that is what they are discussed. In the previous chapter, we discussed about the symbols. Okay, and how the chemical formula is formed. Okay, now we are going to use, or we are going to represent a chemical reaction. The reaction in the form of an equation. So that is what this definition is. The representation of a chemical reaction, okay, using the symbols and the formula of the elements or compounds involved in the reaction is known as chemical equation. So chemical equation means we are going to represent the entire chemical reaction in terms of symbols and their chemical formula. Okay, so the chemical reaction can also be expressed in words, but by writing only the names. Okay, then if that equation is known as the word equation. Okay, so there are two types of equation. One is the chemical equation and one other one is the word equation. Say example, now the word equation is hydrogen plus chlorine. That is, I am fully writing the word hydrogen, HYDROH, plus chlorine will give me hydrogen chloride. Whereas my chemical equation means I am going to use the symbols and the formula. Symbol for hydrogen is H2. Then symbol for chlorine is Cl2. So when these two are combined, I get hydrogen chloride. What is the formula for hydrogen chloride? We earlier learned in steps, right? How are we going to form? We will write the valencies of these two. Then we will cross multiply, and then we will find out the formula for the molecule or the chemical hydrogen chloride, that is HCl. Now, what are the characteristics of a chemical equation? So before going to the characteristics, again we will discuss what is this. First one, what is a chemical equation? We are going to represent the chemical reaction in terms of symbols and formulas. Then it will become a chemical equation. If the chemical reaction is written in the terms of English words, then it is called as word equation. Next, coming to the characteristics. What is the first characteristic? First is the chemical equation. You remember this equation. So that consists of reactants and the products. So what are the reactants and what are products? Okay, that the chemical substances that participate in a chemical reaction. Participate means what? That is going to be combined. or that they are going to take part in that particular reaction. Okay, now what in that accordingly, what will be the two things which will be taking part in this reaction? It is hydrogen and the chlorine. So these two will become the reactants, and the new substance formed due to the chemical reaction is known as the product. So what is the new substance, or what is the final substance which we are getting after where these two things getting reacted? It is the product, that is called as product. Simple terms, we can say the left hand side of your arrow mark, okay, are always called as reactants. Left hand side is always the reactants, and right hand side of your arrow mark will always be called as the product. Okay, so the reactants and the products. The moment I say hydrogen reacts with chlorine, that means immediately I can take hydrogen and chlorine as my reactants. So immediately I can put hydrogen and chlorine in my left hand side. Then I'll put one arrow. Okay, then I can say what should be the product. Okay, I can say it is the hydrogen chloride. Then I have to write the formula for hydrogen chloride. Okay, now it gives information about the number of reactants, how many reactants are taking part, and how many products are being formed. Okay, so how many reactants are taking part and how many products are formed. This is a simple idea which we get from every chemical equation. Okay, then we also get another idea, that is 2 atoms of hydrogen and 2 atoms of chlorine. 2 atoms, okay, that becomes one molecule. So 2 atoms of hydrogen, 2 atoms of chlorine are combined to form 2 molecules of hydrogen chloride. This 2 is also 2 mentions the molecule. Why molecule? Because hydrogen is 1 atom, chlorine is 1 atom. Now 2 atoms combine to form a molecule. In this case, we are talking about the heteroatomic molecule. Is it not? Hetero means the 2 atoms are different. Hereas we are talking about the homogeneous molecule. Why? Because one atom of hydrogen and another atom of hydrogen are only getting combined. So that becomes homogeneous molecule. This is becoming heterogeneous molecule. Why? Hydrogen is 1 atom, chlorine is another. So that is already a molecule, and that I am getting 2 molecules. Okay, how we will get this 2? We will see it in the balancing equation. That will be in the next part. For now, whenever I write a chemical reaction, I can say 2 things. The left hand side is my reaction, the right hand side will be the products. Then the second one, how many reactants are combined and how many products I am obtaining. Okay, now how are we going to write the chemical equation? Okay, first one is first time or the first step. How are we going to write? We should understand, or we should know what are all the reactants. Okay, so first keep the mind how many reactants are there. So the reactants are written on the left hand side. Okay, and when there are more than one reactants, we immediately put what sign? Plus sign. When more than one reactants, we put plus sign. That is, hydrogen is reacted with chlorine. So we put the plus sign. Okay, sometimes there will be only one reactant because it will be decomposing. Decomposing means what? It is getting split down. It has been dividing in, or it is going to be decomposed. That is, it is going to be split down into 2 molecules. So that case, we will not be having more than one reactant. So when there is more than one reactant, we have to put the plus sign. Similarly, the products are written on the right hand side, and then if there is more than one product, we have to put again a plus sign. Okay, now the third point, in between the reactants and the products, you have to place the arrow. Okay, the head of the arrow should point towards the products, okay, which denotes the direction or flow of the reaction. So this will tell us the direction, that is the calcium and oxygen are combined to form calcium oxide, or this is my final product. My final product is coming after the reaction. Okay, in a chemical reaction, as many necessary conditions. Okay, say which can be written either or above the arrow. That is, we will write the particular condition. Say I am heating. If at all I am going to heat, I will put an arrow. I am writing it here. I put an arrow like this, and I can put this symbol. When I put this symbol, it means I am going to heat. So heat is applied here. Okay. Then similar types of things will be written on or above the arrow. Okay. So the chemical reaction is necessary condition. So those conditions are written either above or below the arrow. So let us consider the reaction of calcium with oxygen. Okay. So calcium will react with oxygen. First write the word equation. Then write the chemical equation. That is, write the individual formulas. So calcium, this is the formula. Oxygen, O2 is the formula. So these two becomes the reactants, and my product is calcium oxide. So calcium oxide, what is the product? You can write it. So the number of atoms, each element on both the sides should be equal. Okay. So that is called the balancing the chemical equation. Okay. So we will see this balancing the chemical equation in the next class. Okay. So what have we learned in this particular topic is, we are discussing what is a chemical reaction and what is a word equation. What is a word equation? Chemical equation. Chemical equation, when the equation is represented in the terms of symbols and formula, then it becomes chemical equation. If it is written in simple words, then it is called as word equation. Then what are the characteristics, or what are the main things we can learn from a chemical equation is how many products, how many reactants, first thing. Then what is the reactants and what are the products. Two things we will know. Okay. Then how are we going to write? First thing, left hand side we should write the reactants. If the reactants are more than one, we have to put the plus sign between them. Then the products are written on the right hand side. So when we write it on the right hand side, we should mention again, if there are more than two products or more than one product, we have to mention the plus sign between the products. And then in the middle you should have an arrow which will point the direction of the flow of the equation. Then we can write the conditions for that particular equation to take place as either above the arrow or below the arrow. And then if the reactants or the products are in the gaseous form, you can mention this as gas. This state will mention gas state. Now if it is in a precipitate form, this is for gas, this arrow, and this is for precipitate. Precipitate means it is going to go down, that is the bottom you will be getting. Okay, this is for heat. I am going to apply heat. Okay, so when I apply heat, I can put the small triangle above the arrow. Okay, now with this I will be giving you the homework. I'll send it across in the WhatsApp. Okay, we will see if there is any example for you to tell. Yeah, here we have seen for ammonia, this is for the gas. Okay, and this heat, instead of writing as heat here, I can simply write when ammonium chloride is heated. So I can write like this, NH4Cl is directly heated. So when I am going to heat, see here I am having only one reactant, that is one reactant only. I am not having more than one reactant, so there is no plus sign I have to need to put. So ammonium chloride I can directly heat, so I will put this like this, and my product will be ammonia which is in the gaseous form plus HCl. So here I am getting two products. Okay, so ammonium chloride. So ammonium chloride, when it is heated, will give me ammonia and hydrochloric acid. So this is what I have to show in the chemical equation. Okay, so children, you have to refer the previous topics also when we are going to learn this. This is not simply a standalone topic. This is a topic which I will be again touching when I am going to start with the balancing the chemical equation. Balancing the chemical equation is very important. Until you balance a chemical equation, we will not give you full mark. That means it is not having any meaning at all. So you should know this art of balancing the chemical equation. So this is a big topic which I will be taking in the next class. Okay, so as of now, learn what is chemical equations, the two types of chemical or the equations, characteristics of the chemical equation, and how we are going to write the chemical equation. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 questions within this small topic itself. So you can start learning and you can write it down and see the spellings also. Okay, thank you.